Have you ever wondered what your body language is really saying when you run out of words? Well, nonverbal communication plays a vital role in saying what we can't, and also conveys a lot in terms of how people then interpret our messages. So, in today's video on the power of nonverbal communication, I'm going to touch on three subtopics. The first one is we're going to look at understanding nonverbal cues. Secondly, we'll be talking about how to interpret body language. And lastly, using nonverbal communication effectively. So, okay, let's get right on into it. In terms of understanding body language, there's different aspects of body language. There is number one, facial expressions. It's things like when someone smiles at you or frowns at you or raises their eyebrows at you. All of this shows you the emotions that the person is feeling. Gestures are how people use their hand movements, whether they are nodding and acknowledging what you're saying, as well as waving, because we all understand that to mean somebody's greeting you. So all of that, conveys what the person is also feeling, and also your posture. Are you standing up straight or are you slouching? Because that can indicate whether or not you're feeling confident or discomfort. And lastly, eye contact. Is your eye contact direct? Are you avoiding eye contact and looking away when people are talking to you? Because all of these things either show whether you're interested or not in what people are saying. And it's important to learn that nonverbal communication actually makes up a huge chunk of our communication because it helps people make sense of the words that we're saying. Secondly, I want to talk about how to interpret body language. I'm going to talk about a few common body language signals. Like, for example, when you have an open posture, usually this is when somebody is relaxed, they don't have their arms crossed, so that shows that the person is open to interaction and is willing to engage with you. But usually when somebody's arms are crossed, it may make them look like they're tense. It may indicate defensiveness. And as well as eye contact, is the person staring at you? Or are they looking at you and engaging with you with their eyes, And also, it's important that when it comes to body language, you observe the whole body of the person that you're talking to. Notice their posture, as I said. Are they slouching or are they sitting up straight? Look at their facial expressions. Are they smiling at you? Are they frowning? What's going on with their face? Consider also the context in which you're communicating and make sure that you interpret those gestures correctly. Because it's very easy to take things out of context. For example, just to give an example, I know that I mentioned that when you cross your arms, it may indicate that you're being defensive or don't want to engage. But it may be winter and the person is cold and they're just warming up their hands. So if it is a cold day, don't automatically assume. So basically, I think in terms of nonverbal communication, just like with the last video I did on overcoming cultural barriers, it's also, don't just say, oh, this person is crossing their arms, so they are closed off, they don't want to engage. Or this person is making eye contact, so they are actually engaging with me, because they could have other things on their minds. That's why it's important to look at the rest of their body, and also look for consistency. Ensure that what they're saying matches what they're feeling. Because if I say to you, oh congratulations, well done, that is not very convincing, So I may be smiling, but obviously the rest of my body language is not showing that I'm excited and congratulating you. So you also need to look out for that. And lastly, how do you use nonverbal communication in order to enhance your communication? First of all, maintain good eye contact and show engagement. As I said, don't stare and ogle at the person. That may be uncomfortable, but also don't be like looking everywhere else except at the person who's talking to you. Also, make sure that you smile and you maintain a friendly disposition as you're engaging with them. And also use your hand gestures appropriately. Um, and some things to avoid fidgeting, because when you start fidgeting, and it shows that you may be nervous or uncomfortable. And also, when somebody is really engaging in a conversation with you and they're looking you in the eyeballs and they need to really talk to you, I think things like looking at your watch the whole time, that can show that you're either distracted, maybe there's somebody somewhere else you need to be, and that can give the person an indication that, okay, maybe this person doesn't want to talk to me right now. So unless somebody's asked you the time, don't look at your watch. And also tapping your fingers, that can make you, or your feet, or moving around, that can make you seem like you're frustrated or you're anxious to leave, so as far as possible, avoid doing that. And also practice positive body language, so have a relaxed posture when you're talking to people. Have an open posture, use affirming nods so that the person can see that you're acknowledging what they're saying, and it also shows that you're understanding them and really taking in what they are saying. And also mirror the person's body language. So if the person leans back, maybe also lean back, and yes, don't be all up in their face, but just try to also mirror the person's body language as they're speaking to you. Yeah, so I guess that's it for today. So just a quick recap. First of all, nonverbal communication, this is when you send messages to people while you're talking to them without using words. Basically, you're using your body, you're using facial expressions, and you're using gestures. It basically just complements what your words are saying. Number two, your posture. The way that you sit, the way that you stand, that can show people how you're feeling and whether or not you're engaged with what they're saying. And lastly, eye contact. I cannot stress this enough. When people speak to you, look directly into their eyes, okay? But obviously, like I said, don't stare, because that's just weird. But again, going back to the video I did the last time on cultural differences, make sure that you're not being offensive, because I know that in some cultures, for example, in the West, it is acceptable to be very direct, as an example, when you communicate with someone. But in the Eastern countries, like your Japans and Chinas and so on, they take a more roundabout way of communicating. So just be aware of that. So that's just an example. Like, for example, in some Eastern cultures, they don't shake hands, they bow, so just be aware of some of those things. And also make sure that you also don't fidget, you're not distracted while the person is talking to you. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video, and I really enjoyed this. And please join me next week when I will be talking about communicating with empathy. Thank you so much for joining in. See you then.